Hi! This week, I tried adding Deskmats to all Keycap sets that have them, as well as a new Deskmat section. I couldn't find that many, but I guess if I find more, I'll add them to the comments below. Anyways, without further ado, PBTfans Basin is a new keycap set that will soon be manufactured and sold by KBTfans. While not exactly the same, PBTfans Basin does kinda resemble GMK Hammerhead's Dark Base, a popular keycap set in the hobby, and GMK Arabian Sea, which will be starting on June 15th. I think worst of all is the fact that there is another PBTfans set called PBTfans Deep Sea Predator running right now that looks extremely similar. This is a problem because it can lead to PBTfans Basin potentially having less sales due to all the similar keycap sets that are coming soon or are out already. It is a nice color scheme, which is probably why there's so many sets with a similar design, but I wonder why all these designers and vendors, specifically KBD fans, thought it was a good idea to run them all in a similar time frame. The Alumizu is exactly what the name sounds like, an aluminum version of the popular GMK Mizu set, which was inspired by the water tribe from Avatar. It's following the trend of the Alluvia set, which had pretty great sales, but will be made by Wutra Studios rather than Novelkeys, who are the ones in charge of the Alu Alluvia set. I was originally really excited when I first saw this set, because my cat Mizu still hasn't arrived, but after I learned about the kitting and pricing, I was honestly kinda disappointed. Unlike the Alu Alluvias, which had a pretty extensive kit for $350, the Alumizu will be split into multiple child kits that you can buy. It's a mixed bag because if you don't need certain keys, you will be able to save some money, but the kitting is pretty bad in my personal opinion. The base kit will cost $279 and will be able to cover a 60 or 65% keyboard. If you want to use these caps on a TKL, you will have to purchase a TKL kit for $69, which brings up the total to $348. These kits only include one novelty key though, so if you want to customize your keyboard, you will have to pick up the novelties kit for $79, meaning that you'll have to spend around $427 for that setup. If you happen to be an ISO user, you're out of luck, since the base kit does not include an ISO enter key, so you have to pick up either the accent kit for $35 or the mod extension kit for $65, which makes this kit even more expensive. While I do like how the keycaps look, it's just way too expensive compared to the Alluvia set despite potentially having more keycaps. Oftentimes, having more keycaps isn't actually all that useful either, because there will be ones that you don't use and will have to just end up finding a place to store them. After learning about the price, my desire to pick up a set has definitely shriveled up, but I will definitely look into pick up a novelties kit because I think it has the most value out of all the kits being offered. For $79, you'll be getting 18 metal novelties which look pretty cool. While you still probably won't be using most of these keys on a keyboard, it's not a bad bargain considering that most metal artisan keycaps included with group buys go for around $50 to $70. Overall, while I do like how the Alumizu looks, I am quite disappointed by the kitting and pricing. The kitting does make it cheaper for certain people who are looking to build a 60 or 65% board, but for those of you who are trying to kit out a larger keyboard, it can be very expensive. Hopefully in the future, the material prices can come down and this can be rerun again, but for now, I think I'll pass on this group buy. GMK Mictlán is a set inspired by Mexico's Day of the Dead. It features black keycaps with colorful alphas which really suit the theme and provides a really cool look to it. There will be two base kits offered, one with colorful legends and one with grey alphas and color mods. They both look quite unique, but I prefer the original base kit a lot more than the alt base kit because I think it fits the theme better and obviously has more pop since it has more color. GMK Mictlán also has a really cool novelties kit to go along with the set and features some traditional designs. While the base kit does look quite good on its own, I do think that you should definitely consider picking up this kit as well. The price isn't that bad for a novelties kit, and you get a ton of different keys which is really nice. I'd probably try to find a board with a macro column or two so that I can show off all the different designs in this kit. And finally, GMK Mictlán also has a spacebar kit to provide some form of layout support. There will be a couple different collaborations for this set, but the ones that interest me the most are the Hibi Artisans as well as the collab boards. The Hibi Artisan follows a similar scheme with the keycaps, with a mainly black body with some colorful accents on the top. While I don't consider it a must buy due to the awesome novelties kit that exists already, it does look quite nice and fits the set very well. If you have the extra cash and want a metal artisan to show off, I would consider picking it up. The more exciting collaborations in my opinion are the collab boards. The first one is a special edition Type 60, which features a flame painted copper weight done by Knee Deep, a popular creator in the hobby that does some really nice work with patinas. The second keyboard is a Mictlán themed Serpent 65. While not as flashy as the Type 60, it does still feature the Mictlán theme on the bottom with a mainly black engraving with some nice color accents. And finally, there will be a NK65 Entry Edition Mictlán edition going for $125 for those of you who want to pair it up with a themed keyboard but don't have the money to buy these more expensive collaboration boards. The details for the Type 60 and Serpent 65 collabs have not been made available yet, but it would be safe to assume that the number of units will be limited, and they won't be cheap. For the latest news, it would be best to follow the socials for the keyboard and keycap designers, and probably join the discords as well. Overall, I'm a big fan of the set. It's a unique design inspired by something personal to the designer, and love and care that went into design really shows. Best of all, the keycap set is relatively cheap compared to most group buys nowadays, and the base kit will be going for $99, which is awesome. If you're looking for some dark keycaps with a pop, I would definitely consider GMK Mictlán. GMK Underworld is a new set by Bachu that features colors that are very reminiscent of his other set, GMK Ishtar. I'm personally not that into Fate lore, because I don't have the money to whale like that in Fate Grand Order and also be in this hobby, but I'm pretty sure that this set is inspired by Ereshkigal, the sister of Ishtar. Due to GMK's crackdown on copyrighted material, it's unlikely that GMK Ishtar will have a second run, so if you missed out on that set, this is probably your only chance of grabbing something similar from the same designer. While GMK Underworld definitely has novelties that appear to be inspired by the other character, it isn't as blatant compared to GMK Ishtar, which is probably why this set was accepted by GMK. I'm one of the individuals that was lucky enough to be able to get my hands on an archer from Snowmo, but unlucky enough to not be able to grab Ishtar extras, so this set does look quite appealing to me. The color scheme is nice and looks really cool, but it is quite unfortunate that I won't be able to pair the keyboard with the Ishtar novelties. I am somewhat on the fence though, because it uses a similar color scheme to GMK Higanbana, which is another group buy that I've joined earlier. It was my backup plan to use the set on my archer if I didn't manage to grab Ishtar extras, so I'm really not sure if I should join the group buy for GMK Underworld. Perhaps if the pricing is good, I can consider joining it, but if the cost is too high, maybe I'll just stick with what I have. For those of you who are big Fate fans, or maybe just like a black, red and gold color scheme, GMK Underworld is a set for you. It's an okay looking set, but it's too hot for sweater weather. The Mochi 40 is a keyboard that is inspired by the Whimsy, a popular 40% keyboard that never came into fruition due to personal issues in the designer's life. It's kind of a controversial keyboard, because it's in the gray area as to whether this is a form of tribute or a ripoff. After Perkins went silent, the designer of the Mochi 40 took the renders and files that are publicly available on GitHub to reverse engineer the keyboard. There have been some changes made to differentiate the keyboard from the Whimsy, but it still does look extremely similar, which I think is where people draw issues with. Aiden did reach out to a close mod to Perkins to see how Perkins felt about it, and it seemed like Perkins was okay with it. I'm sure that some people probably still are going to feel a certain type of way, even with this information, but it is what it is. It's just an unfortunate situation overall. Perkins had originally planned on running this group buy earlier, but due to delays in life events, it had to be delayed, and it's unclear whether at this point in time, whether the Whimsy will ever reach the group buy phase. If you are willing to wait for Perkins to see if he potentially runs the Whimsy in the future, I think that you deserve some props for being so patient so that the original creator can receive the credit he deserves. But on the flip side, if you are planning on joining the group buy for the Mochi 40, I don't really think that you or Aiden deserves blame. Perkins has already somewhat given his approval to the project, so it's not like this is being run behind his back or against his wishes. The designer did put in work to reverse engineer the board, and then put in some changes to differentiate it from the original Whimsy, so it's not like he just stole some files and decided to run a group buy with no effort. It would be nice if people also bought the Whimsy, assuming it ever goes up for sale, but I know that most people probably won't. I don't have much to say regarding the design, since the Whimsy has always been a really good looking board. I kinda wish that the mounting style was changed to something nicer, but it is what it is. One thing that I do want to point out is that for the PCB, you will have to solder the microcontroller, OLED, reset button, and rotary encoder for both hot swap and solder versions of the PCB. The solder version will also require you to solder to the diodes and obviously your switches, while the hot swap version won't require you to solder your diodes. Some people have said that this isn't difficult to do, but if you're someone who is soldering for the first time, or you don't have much experience, I'm sure it can be daunting. Aiden does have plans for an R2 where no soldering will be required, and there will be modifications to the case to make it a 2-piece top mount, so if that sounds good to you, you can just wait for R2. The Hi65 is a new keyboard from TD Studios, the designers who created the Hifinger 7.5, which was a keyboard with an extremely unique layout that apparently had an awesome typing feel. According to the IC, a lot of people were a fan of the aesthetics of the Hifinger 7.5, but wanted a more normal layout, which resulted in this keyboard. The mounting style for this keyboard is quite unique, and will come in 3 different styles: top mount, gasket mount, and leaf spring tray mount. The first 2 are common staples in the keyboard hobby, but a third mounting style is a lot more rare. According to the pictures, there will be mounting holes for the screws to secure the PCB into the case, but unlike standard tray mounts, the PCB will have flex cuts around the mounting points to provide a bit of flex. I have no clue how this will feel or sound, so I'm kind of interested in this because historically, tray mounts aren't a desired feature due to inconsistent typing feel and sound. It is totally possible that TD Studios has resolved these negatives on a tray mount, but until I see other reviews or experience it myself, I'll reserve a bit of skepticism. It is nice that you're able to switch out for a different mounting style though, so you can choose a safer top mount or gasket mount if it turns out to be a flop. The Hi65 will retail for $300, which isn't too bad of a price. It will have its competitors, since there are a lot of nice budget boards nowadays, such as the QK65, but if you want something kind of unique at a decent price, the Hi65 is a keyboard you might want to consider.